Hello, everybody, and welcome to Button Mash, WCRD's only video game show. I'm your host, as always, Lucas Schmidt, and with me is Joseph Knoop and our special guest.
Rise from the grave, spirit! Who is this?
Travis Robinson.
Oh.
He didn't actually rise from the grave.
I didn't.
Did you?
I've just been
At
sitting
any
in this
point
chair. I mean, it could be
He looks
called
good
the
in
grave.
that
We could
chair.
label it like the grave. And then just
That really is
rising
the
from the
grave
grave out of my chair.
Our
That
special
chair, actually,
rotating
that
chair.
mic tends to work more than the other ones.
Oh,
I
okay. Well,
don't know why. It's because everything in here.
Surprised anything in here works at this moment in time. Yeah, guys. So hey, it's Button Mash, and we're back for episode 2 of season 2. We're gonna bring you some great news today. Of course, we have our special guest Travis Robinson, who I hope will be back again and again and again and again and again. He will never leave.
Yep, and at the end of the show, we'll
stuck
have a
here forever.
preview for you of Kingdom's Rise. It's this early access game on Steam. Not sure how expensive it is. I forget. I think it's like $15. I don't know, but I think it's really cool because it's great new melee system that I haven't really seen in any of the games. A lot of video games can't really get the melee systems down. But anyways, on to the news.
On to the news, and today's first story we have, a release date has been confirmed for The Last of Us DLC, which features Ellie and her young friend Riley, set before the events of The Last of Us, will be released on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2014. The story will feature, of course, those two characters, and the new tale follows them in a scenario set prior to the events of the main game. Voice actress Ashley Johnson has commented on the role in a Game Informer article, but they haven't really talked about the actual story, just that it's set in the
Good. I
events
don't
prior.
want to know anything.
Well,
I've actually kept myself from not looking at what this is about.
I haven't,
at all.
which is a problem because the comic book actually gives a lot of it away with what made Ellie the way she is before she met Joel. And I'm actually, even though I know what's going on or what's going to happen, I want to see how it happens. And that's what Naughty Dog is best at, is especially with The Last of Us showcasing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to finally get the DLC for the story player because they said not story player.
They've already done a
single
multiplayer
player.
DLC.
Yeah,
right?
they said they would do 2 multiplayer and then 1 single, and the game came out in June last year.
Summer, yeah,
Yeah,
ish.
So it's been a while.
Which is weird because summer is usually a dead season for games, but
It is,
a big blockbuster like that coming out.
and it took up all my time too.
Travis, what do you think?
I said, I've before the show, I haven't actually played The Last of Us, so I mean, I don't really know a whole lot about what's going on. But this DLC, this may seem like a really stupid question, but since Ellie is not a child when she's in the game.
No, she's a child.
I mean, she's like, what, like 13?
14 in the
14?
proper game.
Okay. And how can there, like, be a story mode when she's a child like that, when, like, the zombie apocalypse or whatever happens during the game?
Well, I guess...
Is there, like, a time lapse? Or...
Minor spoiler, like, there
Okay.
are portions of The Last of Us proper where you play as Ellie, so it's a completely...
And it's worth noting that it is a very good portion of the game,
Oh
actually.
my god, yes. And
Don't get too excited.
Yeah, hey, it's
But I do understand.
It switches
is-
up the
it is
gameplay
really
a little bit. It's still the same, like, stalking and like evading experience as you, if you're playing as Joel, but you're obviously weaker as Ellie, so you have to like mix it up a little bit more. I don't know. They haven't really confirmed who you're playing at, but I would presume it's Ellie.
Yeah. You never know. You could switch to
maybe
some
both,
adult
yeah.
at some time.
Yeah.
Some character.
I mean,
we
she
don't
has a
know.
friend in the picture. She could be some friend with, like, some weird power or something. I don't know. I don't know how the game works.
Probably superpowers. That's the
Superpowers.
DLC.
It could happen. I mean, there's zombies in it. You can always expect
true.
something weird to pop out of the blue. They're going to
Yeah,
add
it's
some
like-
new gameplay element that'll be like, oh, well, this friend, she can really, like, bust things on fire with her mind or something. And you'll be like, oh, well, that's a new element I haven't seen.
The last of BioShock.
Oh my god, plasmids plus clickers.
Yeah.
All right. So, let's move on to our next story.
Okay, well, SimCity has been screwing people over for a very long time.
From the start.
Yeah,
really.
from the start.
EA, yeah.
It's not really been too friendly towards the single player. And now, SimCity has now agreed to take it offline and have a offline mode. So you no longer have to have a big online session with people that you're probably not going to play with
DRM.
anyways. Yeah.
And it's been, what, 8 months?
It's been
that
6
took 'em?
months.
6?
They said it took 6 months to build an offline mode, when actually I believe people, it might have been Reddit users, hacked the game to be able to work in offline mode, basically
Reddit.
proving EA wrong. And that only took them like probably less than a month to come out
I remember
with
when that happened.
So, I mean, it's just indicative of how indicative EA can be with these policies. They tried enforcing the DRM, and look, they're backtracking with their tail between their legs.
I was about to say, EA does that a lot. They'll implement something new, and everybody cries no, and then they'll get rid of it. And it was kind of like with season passes, although that took a while. Multiplayer, like the paid portion of it, so you would buy a
key,
take like Dead Space 2 was like one of the first ones they did it with.
That had a key, like a
yeah, it had a multiplayer mode. Nobody liked it. Nobody played it. It was awful. But what's important is that if you bought the game new, came with the code, you could play the multiplayer. If you bought it pre-owned, that code has presumably been used, and you would have to pay like $10 to use the online. They did that for like all their games for about 3 years, I want to say. So they recently revoked that a few months ago.
Yeah, they made it policy to not do that sort of extra pay policy because why was it like it was something to do with the new consoles, I believe.
Possibly.
It was in response to the fact that like the PS4 was projected to do so well because of all these pro-consumer policies. The Xbox One was getting so much flack for its DRM that EA and various other companies, I believe, saw that reaction. Was like, well, we would like to not go under.
Yeah, Ubisoft had them too. It was one of the Assassin's Creed games. I don't know if it was 4. I want to say
Ubisoft still has it in 4.
Every
time
I
the
played
whole
it,
Uplay thing.
Uplay sucks.
The nice thing about Uplay is that it has like the little rewards. Like
those are cool. I do. Like
they
those.
are cool. It's like DLC, but not DLC.
Yeah. It's kind of like I played Ubisoft games before, so now I start out with this extra content in this one. Woohoo.
See, it reminds me of older games where you could like unlock things when you actually made progress instead of just like getting a little achievement that's like, oh, good job, gold star for you.
If we want to go to older games, I remember back when cheat codes were a thing. What happened to cheat codes?
No, cheat codes are still around. Like I just got through Lego Marvel Superheroes, and they actually have like cheat codes in there.
That's awesome.
And
the Marvel Lego, like that. Yeah,
Lego Marvel Superheroes.
Yeah.
So if you want, you can go around and collect all the little character tokens, or you can just enter some password and cheat your way through it. But
cheats the best.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I had to memorize so many things.
Well, on to the next story. It seems a report has come out. For those of you who don't know, Hello Games, the makers of Joe Danger and Joe Danger 2, I believe is subtitled The Movie, had begun development on a game called No Man's Sky, a procedurally generated space and planet exploration game. So the tagline was sort of, if you see a planet off in the distance, you can go there, and each person's going to have a unique experience. Unfortunately, they experienced a huge tragedy lately. Their studio in Guildford does not say what state that is, unfortunately. Their studio in Guildford flooded, ruining the vast majority of all their computers and hardware, software, and probably destroying a lot of the content that they had created. But Hello Games has released a update concerning that on their website. The team has said that they do not expect the flood to delay the game. In fact, they are determined to still make their original release date. They still have they've released another statement. What's going to happen in the coming months? I believe one of the developers said that even before this flood, they were experiencing some difficulties getting everything going because it's such a big undertaking for anyone who's played Joe Danger. Know it's almost like an indie game. It's seriously low key, but I believe that this is probably a good thing that they're showing such resolve.
Yeah, I mean, flood sucks. What more to say? The flood, not the Halo flood, man, dude.
That would be a much better story.
No, because it's Halo and it has no story at all. Master Chief is one-dimensional. Did you see that Microsoft completely shut down rumors of a Halo movie that were like starting to circulate?
I saw something about that.
Yeah, they shut that down today. But who knows? I mean, they got that TV show coming out sometime.
Neil Blomkamp also released something saying he said that like the whole process of trying to get the Halo movie started a couple years back was like quote a nightmare.
I mean, they did the Forward Unto Dawn thing, and that was like it's a 5-part miniseries.
Okay. Yeah, it was cool. But that was no full-fledged, big-budget movie.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you're going to make a movie, like a Halo movie, you're going to put millions
It didn't
of
even
dollars
focus that
into
much on
and it's
Master
gonna be
Chief,
so
right?
cool.
No, but I think if they did
was in the
focus
last,
on
like,
Master
2 episodes,
Chief,
I think.
then it would turn out like all Hollywood movies, and it would kind of just... It
Space
would go
Marines.
unnoticed, or it would just turn out to be total crap.
Yeah, but it would be so cool just to see. I mean, come on, like you would see it.
Yeah, have you heard they're making a Magic the Gathering film?
Yeah, I saw that the other day.
And
How?
that it makes me
gonna be like
stupid with
Yu-Gi-Oh.
joy.
That's what I was thinking in my head.
White eyes,
Oh my
blue eyes, white dragon.
Yeah. I actually just watched that the other. It's so funny just to see them stand there and they're just like, prepare for my next card, and then they just pull it out of their little deck and
Oh.
they like melodramatic.
Gotta
everything.
trust in the heart of the cards.
Yeah.
I believe the Magic the Gathering movie could actually be good because anyone who pays attention to the narrative, while it's a really short narrative because they don't focus that heavily on it, like the lore is there in every set that they release. Their most recent one, which is like Return to Ravnica block, is all like these warring factions within a city and the story between the planeswalkers, the magical beings who like control these creatures or whatever. So I'm thinking Game of Thrones, but much more colorful and with actual magic flying everywhere every like 5 seconds.
See, I think you're the only person I know who actually pays attention to the story of a card game.
I mean, hey, I'm not good at the card game, that's for sure.
Yeah,
So I gotta be better at something than someone.
I haven't done any kind of a card game since like 3rd grade, when you would like try to play Pokemon. Like nobody actually knew how to
I
properly
actually
play
did.
Pokemon. Really?
I went to tournaments up until 2 years ago.
Man,
Yeah, I'm friends with the tournament organizer for Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana on Facebook, and
that's awesome.
I've been invited to a couple things, but I mean, I just haven't had the time with college or anything.
Yeah.
and I haven't.
I had
bought
some friends
packs.
who
I haven't
a
played Magic
lot.
in years.
I had some friends who played a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh in high school. I don't know if because Derek Hutchinson, if he
Yeah.
ever talked to you about that.
I mean, he's brought up Yu-Gi-Oh a couple times, but I mean,
They like did very well. Like,
Really?
a couple of them. Dustin was one of our friends. He went to nationals, I think, and placed like in 50th or something like that.
wow.
I don't know.
What time are we at, Lucas?
We are at 13 minutes almost.
Man, we're blowing through this. All right.
Titanfall. Titanfall is going to get possibly, it looks like, an alpha, which is strange because games don't really get like public alphas very much. There'll
Yeah.
be betas.
It's always
but-
betas.
Yeah, but I mean, it seems like they'll be doing that. A bunch of people.
What is the
believe it was
primary difference
today.
between an alpha and a beta? I'm
Just
not
an
even sure.
earlier stage,
It's just an
really.
early, yeah.
I mean,
Rough-
I'm
More
sure.
bugs.
I'm sure from
More bugs.
yeah, an earlier stage. So I'm sure from their design philosophy that I'm not familiar with, there are like significant differences. But yeah, basically it's just an earlier build of it, which is strange because it's only 2 months away from being released. I would think it would be in beta by now. But I think they're going to launch this alpha and then launch a beta, which I don't know what. I think the alpha will just, because it's only people with Xbox, or the email has only said Xbox One that the alpha will be played on. Said nothing about PC or Xbox 360, which the game will also be released for. So my guess is that the beta will include all 3 systems, and the alpha will just be Xbox One for whatever reason. I'm guessing it's because they want to make sure the Xbox One version is the most pristine, the best one, I would guess, just because it's been such a heavyweight title for Microsoft that they've been pushing for the Xbox
They
One.
shelled out a lot of money to make it.
Yeah, I mean, like if
exclusive.
you watch their commercials, like they have the giant, the Titans in the commercials and everything, as like, because when you buy a console, it's all
Come
about
with
the
me.
games. Yeah, come with me. Want to play some fun or have some fun, whatever.
So what was with the controversy? Like I haven't been following Titanfall that heavily because I won't be able to play it on
What
my
controversy?
The 6v6 like enraged some people or whatever, but like they were completely missing the point.
Well,
weren't they?
okay, so when you watch Titanfall's videos, there's always plenty of players. It doesn't necessarily, I wouldn't say it looks quite on the scale of Battlefield, but it's definitely more than Call of Duty. So Call of Duty's always been 6v6. Battlefield's been in like player ranges of like 30, 40, 50, 60 even people. But they didn't finally really announce the amount of players that would play in a match until sometime last week, I think it was. But it basically been announced that it'll be 6v6. But here's the thing, is that even though there are only 6 players on each team, there can still be up to about 50 characters in the battle at once. And that's because there will be other AI
bots.
bots
A bot match.
on each team. There will be those, and each player players are the only ones who can call in Titans.
Yeah.
The AI, the bots, they can't call in Titans. So if everybody calls in a Titan and they don't get in it, they just have it follow them around, because you can set it to like watchdog mode, and you just got this giant. You basically have.
Oh God!
Yeah, you basically have Clifford the Big Red Dog with a
I'm
gun
painting
behind
my Titan
you.
red.
Yeah. Oh, can
giving
you
it a
change
tail.
the colors?
I don't know. I
cool.
hope
They better make that.
They have like 3 classes.
Believe they'll give
and they're
me
basically
DLC
just
for that.
heavy, medium, and light, which is nothing special. But
I like the idea of having more bots than people in a match, though, because one of the biggest problems people like me have with COD and even Battlefield, which is decidedly a slower paced kind of battle, is I never feel like I'm accomplishing anything in these games because I'm getting constantly smoked by all these kids who do nothing but play it all day. So my kill ratio is like, oh, I killed one guy, but I died 40 times at his hands.
yeah,
I think
like, it
that'll
spreads
also
the
like
wealth.
take care of the camping issue and everything with shooters. Because
yeah.
bots, I mean,
No
they're not
free
going to be
will
like, oh
yet.
yeah, well, there's a camper there. I'm not going to go over there. The bots are actually going to go over there and try to kill the camper, even though you're not going to do that.
Probably give you higher points for actually killing live people
Yeah.
too.
Probably.
Maybe they'll like
I'm not
maybe they'll
positive,
like designate like each actual human as like a commander or something. Where
Well, they
the
actually do have
bots
a
are
different.
grunts.
They just call them pilots.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're not
you
going to do
play-
like a tablet-based thing, kind of like Battlefield, where they have the commander mode, because they could do something like that.
No, there's no kind
be
of like
interesting.
strategic overhead.
No second screen
RTS.
experience.
No. But that reminds me of. Did you guys ever hear about that like Tom Clancy like Ultimate game or whatever? Where, because you know how Tom Clancy
Like
just
the
basically
Division? Is
No.
that
No.
Okay.
The RTS
the one where they want to combine like a full army of players, and each team has like a commander who basically treats it like an RTS.
Yeah.
And then there would be the micromanagers of people who would actually play as those foot soldiers, those tanks, those helicopters, those jets. Because Tom Clancy games is basically just an excuse for anything that has war in it, and you just slap his name on it, and it sells a buttload more copies. It's true.
Yeah.
It's brand
Even
recognition.
in death, he is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. Rest in peace. Anyways, that's what they want to do, is basically just make a massive multiplayer thing. But that project, man, I first heard about that back in like 2006, and
I like the idea
yeah,
of
it's
the.
still not around. But the Division
Yeah,
does
the-
look awesome.
I like the
yeah.
idea of the Division more, just because from the one trailer that they've released so far, it seems like a much more slow-paced sort of personal experience. It is. I like grand scale battles, but there is a time and place for them, and that seems like what we've been getting a glut of. Man, you see him shut that cop door, and it's like, oh my god.
Everyone
So
said
reals.
that. Everyone said that in the comments. They were like, "Look at those windows break!" Like it just looks so good.
And I like the idea of in the trailer they showcased, like, assuming you're playing with intelligent enough friends or other humans, you can coordinate a little bit more effectively and casually than screaming at each other over the headphones. Hopefully, 'Cause
Yeah.
granted, it was probably the developers playing during that trailer, but I would like to think, I can exit a battle and just be like, hey, thanks, man, that was chill, later, and instead of be like, suck it.
That is if the person has a mic. Most people do not have mics.
With the PS4, it came with one.
Xbox One came with a mic and headset.
Well, I mean,
too,
like
didn't it?
all systems come with them, but people don't actually really use them that much.
I mean, if
mean-
you're playing with friends, then you're probably
Yeah.
going to use a mic.
But you made it sound like you were playing with like someone random. Like, hey, it was fun. Have a good game later. or
I don't
something.
know.
I don't know. I
mean,
didn't
if
pay
it's-
attention to that
if it's
one
really
part
like
of the conversation.
strategic, then you may want to just plug in the mic and be like, "Oh, hey, well, I mean, if we don't want to die here, let's go this way. Like,
Listen to
trust
me.
me."
I want to have nice life conversations as I'm like mowing down, crooked cops or something in the
How's your
division.
day?
Dude, how's your day? Oh, it was chill. I had an argument with my girlfriend.
That really is how it plays out, though. And then
In that
of
trailer,
course you
anyway,
have to
yeah.
break up your conversation with something terrible happens. Like if you're on like a total awesome kill streak and you die, then you got to curse, and then you're like, okay, back to what was I saying? It's like the same thing when people watch sports. People are just like having a conversation, and then touchdown, and like everybody gets up and screams.
Sports
Like, the best thing.
ball!
Yeah.
I was busy eating nachos. What happened? What time are we at?
Almost 20 minutes.
Almost 20
Should
minutes.
we go on a break?
Let's go on a break. We'll be right back with big old features talk about net neutrality. It's a lot sexier than it sounds, believe me.
Yeah. And now a word from our sponsors.
Welcome back to Button Mash on WCRD 91.3 FM, the Pulse of Ball State. Hey guys, check out our new WCRD app. It's been available for a little while. You can download it on the Android and iPhone stores. I believe it's free.
It is.
And you can listen to the shows as they air on our signal.
Yes, like all good apps, it is free.
Yeah, the best apps are free. So today's feature segment is going to feature something a little, not drier, because it certainly concerns everybody, like literally everybody should be concerned about this.
As long as you use the internet, which, because you're listening to the show, I'm guessing you do, or you use a radio.
One of them things.
I don't.
We just insulted like half the user base of WCRD.
No.
So the net neutrality restrictions, which previously sort of protected freedom of information, freedom of access on the and stopped favoritism by broadband providers, have been struck down by the U.S. Appeals Court in a case. They've taken a substantial hit today thanks to a ruling from the U.S. Appeals Court invalidating current neutrality rules previously upheld by the FCC. According to the court, quote, the FCC has chosen to classify broadband providers in a manner that exempts them from treatment as common carriers. In turn, because the Communications Act expressly prohibits the Commission from nonetheless regulating them as such, it lacks the authority to impose net neutrality rules on broadband providers. What that big jumble of words means is now... instead of broadband providers being legally obligated to be fair to every website and allow access to everything for whatever package you buy, they can now enforce more package-like deals on websites, on broadband speeds.
It sounds basically like it's a lot like what a lot of people I know are experiencing with TV, with cable, where they just want like sports. But sports is like this whole separate package, or like the NFL Network. And
your ESPN packages, your Showtime packages,
which
your
is
HBO.
Basically what they want to do with this. Where
they want
like,
to make
you want to go to this site? Well, you got to pay us $5 for a month or something like that. When right now it's not like that.
The court ruling apparently includes a stipulation that broadband providers would need to inform customers which sites are being favored, but it'll still be a big hit to us who are at the whim of corporate fancies.
And as we all know, corporate fancies look down on us mere peasants. Mere mortals.
Verizon is one of those companies who's probably reeling in the good vibes from this one, but they released a statement to the appeals court ruling saying, quote, today's decision will not change consumers' ability to access and use the internet as they do now. But they also said that they will, quote, allow more room for innovation and that consumers in the future will have more choices to determine for themselves how they access and experience the internet. I don't want more choices. I want one big choice that works for everything.
I mean, it says it's not prohibiting you from doing anything different than you are now.
It's absolutely prohibiting me from, if this becomes a reality, it will absolutely prohibit me from doing stuff that I like. I go to Facebook, I go to news sites, I go to, I don't do sports, but hey, some people do, I guess.
Correction, a lot of people do.
Okay.
See, I don't know if
whatever
news
you
sites
say,
could be censored
Lucas.
by that, though. Because news sites, that's covered under like free press and everything. So wouldn't news sites always be free?
What do you mean?
Like the whole like freedom of speech thing. Like that's
free press. It's still there and it still exists, but now it's like it's subtle in the way it is actually censoring people. The same way that like a crooked politician might make it harder. Oh God, politics. The same way a crooked politician might make it a little harder for disadvantaged voters to get to the ballot boxes, maybe making the like approved areas like farther away or needing more IDs or something like that. That's harder for people who can't afford the time or the money. And the same way with this these net neutrality restrictions, everyone should be able to have access to the internet. It's an essential tool for a lot of people.
It's becoming more essential.
And the fact that people want, and the fact that companies want to charge more for certain segments of it is adding a needless, almost criminal. It is criminal barrier to my right to access something as long as someone's willing to put it out there.
Yeah,
so what I'm wondering what's going to happen is how public networks are affected by that, like 3G or like a Starbucks or something like that. Like how are those going to be affected? Because those might not be run by certain services. They might just be public networks.
I would imagine in the case of something like, a cafe or like a local provider, like maybe this campus or something, I would imagine that for companies like that, they might have to shell out additional, like, huge sums of money to be able to say, like, every location has the entire package because we want people to walk in and assume that they can get anything they want off of the internet. But then what's going to happen, I would imagine, is that local Starbucks is going to go from quaint to quite packed.
Oh, yeah.
It's already packed because, kids go there all the time for internet and drinks.
Well, if there's like assignments that need to be done on a certain site or something, all the school kids after school are going to go to Starbucks or McDonald's or wherever it is that they have all the internet.
Clawing at the door like the Day of the Dead mall. Ugh, they're coming.
Dude, internet cafes are basically going to be a huge hit.
I'm fine with that.
They are already in other countries.
Yeah, but I mean, in America.
America.
Hey, I mean, we can get some cheerleader cafes up in here. I know some people.
I mean, okay, if internet cafes do take off, guarantee you
there's going to be themed ones.
No, they will have the cafe equivalent of like a Hooters or
Oh yeah.
the
they already
Tilted
do. In
Kilt.
some countries they already do.
I'm talking America. It's all that is completely different. Like, you think the world objectifies women, like we do in a totally different way here.
It
Back to video games.
Back to video games. How much time do we have left? That probably took what?
6.5 minutes.
6.5 minutes. That was real short. But yeah, that's sound off on our Facebook page, on our Twitter. What do you guys think about this? Because this is obviously affecting you too if you listen to this show. We want to hear your opinions, and if any of them catch our eye, we might talk about them next time on our feature segment.
Yeah. Have you guys heard about Bot Colony at all?
No.
Because I didn't hear about it until today. The game itself looks all right, but the reason I want to talk about it is because it's the first game I've seen that has taken the whole recent trend of having like dialogue wheels, like think Mass Effect or Fallout and Elder Scrolls. Dialogue boxes. You get to choose what you say to
choose your own adventure stuff
to the NPCs. NPCs. Well, in this one, it's made by a company that for the last 12 years or so has specialized in developing systems that can read, hear, and speak human languages. And so you actually don't just choose the pre-selected dialogue, you just say something. So you're talking to, and you only talk to robots for the most part in the game because it all takes place in the future. You're on like an island that's like where all the robots are and stuff. I don't know. They haven't explained it a whole lot. But basically, you're a detective and you're trying to solve these very expensive items that have gotten stolen. But it's interesting to watch the gameplay of it because you just kind of, you're just asking questions. And everything's really up to you. Like, you really have to focus on the story and characters and everything. Because if you're not familiar with names, locations, things like that, you won't know what questions to ask. Because they're not just going to be there for you. There's a delay, obviously, in... Like, after you say something, the game takes like 2 seconds, and then it like realizes what you said and like spits out an appropriate response. But it's very interesting so far. Unfortunately, it lost its funding of sorts. It had a Kickstarter campaign. It was unsuccessful. They didn't meet their goal.
So they get nothing, right?
The what now?
They get nothing if they don't meet their goal on a Kickstarter.
Right. But they were greenlit by the Steam Greenlight community back in November. And they said they're looking to have the game available on Steam's early access within a week or two of now.
That's crazy.
Hey,
so,
but that's the thing is, I like. What if you say something that it like completely doesn't understand? Though, do they have like
it'll
dialogue
probably just
that
say
it
like
says something?
Well,
yeah.
It's interesting to note that like Disney in Disney World have like already sort of pioneered this technology. Have any of you ever attended one of those shows where they showcase stuff like this?
No.
Oh, when I was like 9.
They really that long ago.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean Disney World. That's when. I think it was 9.
So Disneyland, Disney World have a couple of these shows featuring characters like Crush the Turtle from Finding Nemo, and I believe the other one is the Monsters Incorporated has like a comedy show that reacts to the audience, and it's really interesting to see like Crush the Turtle will like point out someone in the audience, hey dude, that kid with the yellow shirt, what's your name? Travis. Hey Travis, how's it going, man? And it's like, okay, I choose to believe there's not a guy behind the curtain or anything like that. That is awesome because actually, I think a case for it not possibly even being a person is when I went to the Crush Turtle one, it actually froze up, and you could hear Crush behind the mic being like, "Oh, whoa, dude, my tank froze. That's like weird. It's chilly in here." But I think that's amazing, and it's becoming so prevalent now.
Yeah, I mean, the game could completely tank, lose all its funding, like nobody really plays it. But if not, it's at least a great like sign of progress. It's awesome to see that that's finally there, because I figured that would happen eventually.
See, if you like imagine that with the Oculus Rift plus like motion controls,
yeah, and then you imagine, and then you put that in a game on scale with like the highest quality games. You know, like this game looks okay or whatever, but if you take like a Mass Effect that's like just an amazing game, and you put that kind of technology in it, it's gonna be sweet.
That's really where I want the next like innovations in gaming come. Is not how good it looks, is how good it acts.
Yeah, how it plays. The first like next gen game I've really seen that sounds like I haven't seen any gameplay on it. No. I actually don't know a whole lot about that, but we can talk about that in a sec. What I'm talking about is the new Lord of the Rings game, because there's actually a system, a hierarchy, a culture of sorts to the orcs. So they all have names. And they all have positions, lieutenants, grunts, you know, some of them are worth nothing. Others command like hundreds of other orcs. But depending on your actions towards them, they can change ranks. They can say you get into a battle with like a band of them, and one of them, you wound him, like you give him a scar across his face or something. You could, like several days, weeks later or whatever, run into him again. Suddenly he's gotten bigger and stronger from his confrontation with you, and he'll have that scar still on his face, but now he'll be like a captain, and he'll have like a dozen or so orcs under his command. And it sounds the first kind of thing that's next gen in terms of gameplay, not just like, wow, that looks really pretty.
One of the more interesting games coming out, The Forest, which is being developed as like a PC and Oculus Rift title. You like play this guy who crash lands on an island. There's like mutant people kind of hunting you as you try to survive and everything. They've said that the enemies, these mutant humans, will react to you not as individual people, but they will literally coordinate the way they move about you. Sometimes they'll run away because they're actually scared. If you kill one of them, you'll later see another one like mourning over its dead body or something like that, making it seem more real because
there's little details like that. Finite details.
Restricting reactions to attack or death is a way to just become repetitive and boring. And
well, the first time I saw that stuff was like Skyward Sword, Zelda Skyward Sword. That really like. I loved that because the enemies would react to the way that you swung the sword. It was like the one-to-one motion control.
Right.
I love the integration with that, and that really showed me like what could happen with the future of gaming. And I'm really upset that like not a whole lot has come out of that. It's just been Skyward Sword, and that was the last really interactive game that I played.
Yeah, I mean, other games are. We'll preview Kingdom's Rise later, and that kind of like you're talking about like an in-depth kind of melee system. This is like 360 degree, like different angles. It's very in depth.
What time are we at? I think I have one cool story
13.
left. 13? Mm-hmm. Okay. Do we want to keep talking about that? Because I have a cool story that I completely forgot to mention.
Go for your cool story.
All right. So
cool
in this
stories.
Game Informer article that I saw, a veteran marketer has proved that booth babes do not work to promote your titles. Let's see. Spencer Chen, veteran marketer, a couple of years ago, he stumbled upon an opportunity to test his belief that booth babes are anchors by staffing two booths for the same product at the same show differently. One has professional booth babe talent, models who probably dress up accordingly to the game or whatever their media they're selling, with contractors bought from the local area, and the other table had just basically typical like representatives from the company. One of them was literally someone's grandmother. So he says the results, quote, speak for themselves. The booth that was staffed with the booth babes generated a third of the foot traffic as measured by conversations or demos with our reps, and less than half the leads as measured by a badge swipe or a completed contact form, while the other team had a consistently packed booth that ultimately generated over 550 leads, triple from the previous year. Everyone on the team was genuinely surprised by the results, but duly convinced. So it's interesting.
Booth babes didn't get as many as having actual staff there.
And
that's great to hear, though. Really, I feel like proud of.
We're slowly moving away
from like video game fans who went to those and were like, you know what? I'm not going to be swayed by your Okay, I don't know what I can say
Jumblies.
on the radio. I'm gonna just skip that
Cheerleaders.
part. Insert whatever your mind wants to put in there.
It is a good step to take away from booth babes because obviously with it brings a lot of less than amiable journalists who in recent times have been seen harassing women, not just the booth babes, but also the female journalists in these trade shows. I have told myself that if I ever went to one of these trade shows for a publication, I would be so scared to ruin my credibility with other journalists by like actually speaking to a booth babe and like spending time, well, not speaking, but like spending too much time with one and like, cause it's like, oh, he's just here for the eye candy. He's not here for his job. He's a slacker. And
I mean, as long as you like
demean
interview
them. I mean, they're people, but
I'm not saying they're not
understand.
people. I'm just saying I have a job to do and I would need to show my boss, look, I'm focused on my job, not on getting some TNA.
Maybe booth babes are actually very knowledgeable about the subject that they are put in
somehow I
front
doubt
of.
that.
I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
Okay, that's all I ask.
Look at you crusading
Defending
for the booth babes.
all right?
You went from saying, "Oh, this is so great. We're moving away from booth babes," to be like, "Unhand me, sir. Do not desecrate the nice winches story."
Let's go.
Okay.
To the next.
Do we have a next story?
I don't know.
We can make a next story.
I think that the Valve controller, the Steam controller, what is it called?
Yeah, Steam
Steam
controller.
controller.
Steam controller. Okay, the Steam controller.
What are we at time wise?
I think it should be have the buttons be Gabe.
GAB
Yes.
instead of Xbox
GABE.
360.
Yes. Well, no, because it had like the A, B,
X,
X,
square,
Y.
triangle, 0.
Yep. But have Gabe instead.
What time are we at?
16 and a half.
16 and a half. All right. So, well, do we want to keep talking about the Steam controller?
Nah.
No?
Have you guys seen Evolve at all?
I have
Yeah,
not.
Heard about it?
I've read a couple articles on it. Nothing
They
too
basically, it's some of the guys who worked on Left 4 Dead, and they basically, the whole game was drawn from the inspiration of tank battles. So in Left 4 Dead, there was the giant tank, which was basically the mutant zombie that was just enormous. It was the size of like a small shack or something, and it would just lay waste to the 4 survivors, and they would have to coordinate and try to fight them. Well, they basically took that concept of 4v1 and turned it into a game. And so Evolve is all about 4 hunters, and there are different classes. You know, there's the medic, there's the long range guy, there's the trapper, yada yada yada. And then on the other team is just one player who plays as the monster, and the monster has like 3 stages of evolution. So where the game's name comes from. Surprise, surprise. And it's basically just that 1v4, and it's really interesting sounding because it's a lot different than anything I've really ever heard of. Kind of rings in the same tune as Left 4 Dead, because Left 4 Dead was really different than any other game I'd ever played. It felt just as much co-op as it did competitive.
Co-op experiences are always a popular format now, just because multiplayer has become a den of people I don't want to play with, and single player is, well,
It's just become increasingly popular,
Yeah.
multiplayer, and they just kind of tack it on to everything really now.
See, I'm kind of wondering how the story is actually going to play out in Evolve, though, because if it is just like all the players are all the characters, then the story can't actually be acted out in game. So I'm kind of wondering how that's going to progress.
Yeah, they said there's a story. I'm guessing that it's not going to be the focus of the game, but it will be there. They've already said a little bit. It's basically in the future, and it's like, oh, humanity is spread across the galaxy.
Here's an
colonized
excuse
all
to
these
kill
planets.
things.
Here's an
Go.
excuse for really cool monsters that don't exist right now on Earth. So
Right now.
yeah, and it's basically they're talking about how the hunters are kind of like outnumbered of sorts, or like outgunned or whatever. Like these random monsters will
aren't
just
they
show up. Like
always?
people, yeah, like people have been colonized on this planet that the game takes place for like 80 years, and now all of a sudden these monsters start showing up, or whatever. But it looks great, and it looks fun to play as both. And so like going through those 3 evolutions of the monster, like the first level, he's actually like pretty susceptible to the hunters, can easily beat him. And 2 is where they said that during the playtesting, a lot of confrontation between the 2 groups would happen during the monster's second evolution. But if the monster, the person who plays the monster, is good enough, they can evade the hunters until they get to level 3, and then they are just like a complete wrecking ball, man. And then Miley Cyrus plays. She's like, I came like a wrecking ball.
That's the theme song for Evolve.
Yeah. Actually, the motto for that bot colony game is "Join the conversation." I thought that was kind of funny.
Oh, that's
The whole game's focused on conversation. Although it's also got a little bit of puzzle.
I feel like I'm
in it
talking
too,
to a
apparently.
PR person then. Join the
Yeah.
conversation. Find
Join-
us on Twitter. Find us on...
Yeah, right. That's what most news organizations have. They want you to join the conversation. Go to the comments section, which everybody knows is where the finest of humanity comes out, is in the comments section.
Don't read the comments. Whatever you do, you poor soul. There's actually a Twitter account devoted to like just constantly
like
reminding
best
you,
of comments.
do not read the comments.
I've seen best of comments sections. Like there's a Facebook page. It's actually pretty funny. Like
They have
top
that for
YouTube
Escapist
comments.
magazine too, which is really
Yeah.
funny. All right, is that it for today?
That's it.
All right, so this has been Button Mash on WCRD 91.3 FM, the Pulse of Ball State. Lucas,
Although we do still have our Kingdom's Rise preview.
Oh.
Should we do a quick commercial break before then?
sure. All right,
Okay.
we'll come right back, do a quick Kingdom's Rise preview. Do not miss it. I will hurt you.
Through the radio.
Welcome back to Button Mash on WCRD 91.3 FM, the Pulse of Ball State. Hey guys, it's been a great show, but to cap off everything, we've got a preview of Kingdom's Rise with Lucas Schmidt.
Yeah, and so I say preview because even though the game's out, it is a Steam-only game. It is early access, which means that it's still in alpha of sorts, so there's plenty of bugs, glitches, and they are pretty prevalent. But I think it's worth previewing because you purchase it now, it's a lot cheaper than it will be when the full game comes out, and you get to try it out in its early stages. But basically, what the game is it's multiplayer only, and it's knights of sort with magic and whatnot, but it's got this melee combat system with the swords, where it's this kind of, they describe it as a 360-degree combat system.
I played a few minutes of it, and it seemed like a much more fantasy-based chivalry, right?
Yes, better than Chivalry though. Chivalry's melee system I don't like at all. It's more, I don't really know how to describe it. It just the hit placement or like the feeling
detection?
Yeah, like if in Chivalry it would feel like I would hit the guy, but it would just register as nothing, and it was just much more stressful. This not as stressful. Even though my games, at first I did really bad. I would go like 3-15, just absolutely terrible. But I was still getting the hang of it. It's really good. So what you do is you move the mouse, say, to the right, and your guy will swing to the right. Say you move it at any angle, he will swing at that angle. And you can stab, you can bring it straight down and cleave him or whatever. But when you block it, you also have to move in that direction. So if a guy's attacking you to the right, you have to move your sword to the right as you press the block button. If that makes any sense?
Yeah.
So it really is more strategic in terms of the melee. And so
Okay.
it's just more intimate, I guess is the right word.
Let me
When
get
you
intimate
face
with
someone else.
my,
Yeah.
dagger here.
Yeah, yeah, it's very more dramatic and epic, and it's awesome. There are spells and everything. You can have like a fireball, ice, heal. Teleport is, I think, one of the more popular
I got my
ones.
butt kicked by a guy with teleport.
Teleport's awesome because you can be just in the middle of a fight and just teleport right through him and just turn around and stab him in the back. There's still plenty of glitches, so like clothes and armor, you can customize them, but every time you respawn, your guy spawns and he's in nothing but his underwear, and then it takes about a second, 2 seconds, and then all the stuff comes on him. There's also, you can change your loadout, your swords, your secondary, which can be like a bow or whatever. Well, I couldn't even get my secondary to work. I pressed every key on the keyboard and it wouldn't work. And then I found some people were like, "Oh yeah, it doesn't work," but we made some mods to make it work. And so it's the glitches like that will get fixed. But right now,
Is this alpha or beta?
it is alpha.
Alpha,
I would
okay.
say alpha. I mean,
All
I
right.
don't really know what they classify it as, but I would say it's
when
early
does it come out?
alpha.
Do we know?
I mean, it's out right now.
Projected? Oh.
That's the thing about early access is that it's kind of more of a work
When does it
in
release
progress.
proper? Do we know?
Don't know.
Don't know. Still up in the air.
I would
All
say
right.
it'd be a couple. I mean, it's already been out on the market for 2 months, and they've fixed some stuff, but there's still plenty of them to fix and plenty of stuff to add. But at the moment, at its core, its concept, that 360-degree melee combat is awesome and unique, and is definitely worth checking out. I believe the game is $15. I can't recall.
Okay.
And Steam sales are like all the time. I
Dirt.
swear, like once a month. I wonder if they're gonna have a Martin Luther King Jr. Day Steam sale. I would not be surprised.
I have a discount. Yeah. All right, guys. That has been Button Mash on WCRD 91.3 FM, the Pulse of Ball State. Lucas, cue up some music while I tell these fine people how they can find us. So, folks, you can find us on all the social medias. We are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, where we post all of our shows and all of our reviews. That's basically every website /buttonmashbsu. So, for example, twitter.com/buttonmashbsu. We are updating all the time. And hey, special announcement for all you fine folks. Whoa, okay. That was perfect. We are looking for more people to help us expand on Button Mash. We are looking for people to help us develop this brand of geek and tech culture journalism into its own entity within the journalism and TCOM department here at Ball State, where we broadcast the show. If you are interested in writing, producing, creating content with us, or even just stopping by for the show, as long as you are a hard worker and you've got a good spirit about something like this, I am fine with you joining up on us, and we have big dreams.
Yeah, we do.
I have a dream!
You're in the spirit MLK Day.
Oh, we get Monday off. That's
We
brilliant.
do. It's wonderful. Hey, you all have a great day.
And
Stay
hey, thank
classy.
you, Travis, for
Oh, yeah.
joining us today.
Yes,
Thanks
I
for
almost
having me.
forgot.
This is Travis Robinson. You should
This
also
is.
find him on social medias, I guess. He's
I mean,
he's a
I don't
handsome
really
guy.
have a Twitter or anything. But
You should get a Twitter.
I'll try.
Almost
Thank
too
you.
late to get joined on the Twitter bandwagon.
Facebook's my main source.
All right, guys. Bye.
Take it easy.